right now to the Call Tony Real Estate Radio Show with Toni Patillo and her co-host Jason J. This is where you come to learn about buying real estate. Here's Toni.
Hello, Los Angelinos. It's your host, Toni Patillo, and you're listening to Call Tony Real Estate Radio on KTLK AM 1150. I'm here with my co-host, Jason J.
Every week we try to bring something fresh and new to our audience, and we always, for the most part, talk about residential real estate, the single-family home or the 2 to 4 unit property that somebody is actually going to live in.
Exactly.
But now we wanted to shift to kind of open a different door to commercial real estate. And we had our friends from Prosser Stevens on to talk about multifamily homes, so that's right, apartment buildings and things like that. But now we're really talking about retail spaces and how to lease retail spaces. And so we're very fortunate to have Brent Ball of Ball Investment Group, and we also have Chris Sands of Sands Investment Group, all out of our Keller Williams office in Santa Monica. So guys, we really appreciate you coming on today.
Yep. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for the invite, Toni.
Brent from Ball Investment Group, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you got started in commercial real estate.
I ended up being around real estate my entire life and decided instead of going and following my family into the residential business, I was more excited about doing commercial. So I started off originally doing retail, office, and industrial leasing and sales, and I just pretty much stayed with it. Mm-hmm. And it's been a very good business for me. I do a lot of leasing. We do investment sales as well, but we do specialize in retail, office, industrial leasing and sales. And so we help all the people out there, customers that need to open offices or open businesses in retail. We kind of help them with their dream of opening up a specific business and hopefully owning a property as well. There's opportunities in that as well. And
just to show a dynamic, Chris, you kind of do the more large retail sales, is that right? Tell us a little bit about Sands Investment Group.
Yeah, we are. We now have 32 partners in our company, or within the Sands Investment Group and its affiliation with KW Commercial. And so I've got 16 different states that I have representation. In some of those states, I have duplicates. Like the state of Texas, I've got 3 guys that are on my team. But all we go after is single-tenant and multi-tenant retail. And we do anything from 7-Eleven. Jack in the Box, Chase Banks, Walgreens, you name it. But really, our main niche is finding investment property where you have a current landlord who owns the building and they've got a long-term lease with a national credit tenant, like a Chase Bank or a Walgreens. Yeah. And so there's certainty of income stream, and then maybe it's a 15-year or a 20-year lease, and we've got a lot of passive investors that are trying to find a safe haven or a safe place for their investment money. And we all know right now the challenge is, the stock market is there's a lot of volatility and there's not a lot of certainty. And if you want to keep your money in the bank, you're probably better off just putting it under your mattress in terms of the return you're going to get. So, for single-tenant net lease investments, it's an easy way for, I don't want to say unsophisticated, but maybe a newer investor to the real estate market to own a commercial property and have very little management, have long-term security, and still get somewhere between, 5 and 8 or maybe 9% return on their money.
So, Brent, is it safe to say that Chris would sell the retail building or retail space, and then you would help to fill it with tenants that want to start their new businesses or have existing businesses that want to go in those locations?
Absolutely. Our businesses are very similar. Chris deals with investors that want to buy investment property and have a stabilized investment through triple net leased asset sales. On our side, we help the investor. We can do the same thing, but what we do is we deal with clients, architects, attorneys, etc., who need office space or somebody who wants to open a new restaurant, etc. There's opportunities to invest in real estate in that way as well. And it's called an SBA loan, whereby a small business owner can go and buy a piece of property. As long as they occupy a minimum of 51% of the building, they can get an SBA loan whereby they can put as little as 10% down payment onto a property. So that gives people the opportunity to invest in a building, operate it, and own it themselves instead of leasing, as opposed to leasing, whereby they don't own anything at the expiration of the lease term.
Right.
I'm finding every week, I'm finding a whole nother avenue that I can invest in. And I'm serious. It's like, why put the money in the bank when you can invest in commercial, you can invest in 2 to 4 units, you can invest. There's so many different ways to really maximize your dollars. And then we have our tax strategist who tells us how to keep it, right? So I think it's very powerful.
when you invest in the stock market, and sorry to keep using this analogy, but it really does work, you're investing in a company. And so you believe in the company, you believe the company is going to go up in value or that it's got national appeal, then you hope that your stock will go up in value. Well, similarly, if you do that in the credit of the lease that's signed on that single tenant net lease property, if I say I have Chase Bank and that's a signed lease with 10 years in this building that's on the corner of Ocean Park and Lincoln, I know that I've got a national credit company. I see what they do on the stock market and what they're doing in the public eye. But on top of it, the difference between investing in the market and investing in real estate is if, God forbid, Chase Bank left, I still own the real estate and I could go release that building and I have some value left in the investment that I made. When you have a company that goes under, you can't do anything. It's not like you can call the president of the company and try to negotiate out your stock shares. And so that's why I'm starting to see a lot of people trying to invest in a single tenant net lease market. And the beauty, and the last thing I'll say on this, is the beauty of this investment vehicle is that the tenant pays for property taxes, insurance, they pay for utilities, they pay for maintenance, repairs, usually rubbish, any expenses that a landlord would incur on an apartment building or on a single-family home, the tenant will typically pay for in the lease structure, so the owner has very little, if no, management at all.
Wow.
And Chris, we have a few minutes left. We're going to cover a few articles, but I know you wanted to bring up a point about why it's so crucial for people to really analyze their commercial buildings right now and commercial spaces for sale before the end of the year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're seeing a huge influx right now, Jay, with people that are wanting to sell today versus waiting till 2013, and they're actually wanting the close of escrow to be prior to December 31st. And the biggest reason is, it's inevitable. A bill was passed years ago in which capital gains tax is going to go up in 2013, and it's going to go up 5%, and so on the federal level. So if what you close on today, if you're selling $1 million property today and it closes between now and December 31st, you're going to keep more dollars in your pocket than if you sell that exact same building next year and you just cash out and take the net proceeds, or you take the capital gain that you've earned on that property. And so that is something that we're seeing a lot of investors coming to us that do own commercial properties, and they're saying, let's sell it before the end of the year, because the net dollars mean more to them. And then, if you want to learn more about this, is something we can talk about in our class, Toni. There is the option of doing a 1031 exchange.
Sure.
Meaning you sell and you can 1031 or defer that tax that you would normally have to pay by enrolling that into another property of like kind, and therefore you just keep moving your investments along. A lot of our clients that started out with maybe a single-family home that they rented, then they bought a multifamily property, they moved into a commercial property. And some of my clients now own, 150, 200,000 square foot shopping centers from a little building that they bought, 30 years ago that they kept doing 1031 exchanges into and growing their investment.
That's awesome.
Now, Brent, with someone who's, looking to start their business, or they want to move locations or whatever the case may be, and they want an expert to help them through that leasing process, talk about what you do with a client to really analyze the cost per square foot and really protect them in moving forward.
First off, we start off by giving them all the availability in what real estate arena they're looking at. So let's say they're an architect and they want office space. We will put together a survey for them, show them everything that's on the marketplace in the geographical area they're looking at, and email that to them. It'll have photos, floor plans, etc., price per square foot, whether it's full service gross, triple net, modified gross, etc. We send that to the tenant. They look at it, kind of filter it down, decide which ones they want to go look at. We take them on a tour, we tour the space, and then we negotiate the non-binding letter of intent with them through the whole process until both parties agree to all terms and conditions. Then it goes to a lease document. We negotiate the lease document with them, and then we suggest that they have an attorney look at it. Now, whether they use companies like us, anybody who's going out there and looking at potential commercial space to lease should have a broker representing them.
For sure.
We as brokers have a fiduciary responsibility to the client that we represent. We that are brokers that are in the business, we know how much free rent, what kind of escalations, etc., that the landlord would be willing to give, that a client going directly to the broker that represents the landlord may not give you that information because of their fiduciary responsibility. So whether you use, Ball Investment Group or Sands Investment Group, any of those, you need to use a broker.
Right. And you need to use a specialized broker. I'm a broker, but I don't specialize in commercial real estate. So coming to me would be I'm going to defer it and refer it to you guys because this is your specialization. I mean, it's very interesting. You must deal with the specialists in that arena. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Very true. And then we have the ability to also let them know there's advantages maybe to leasing or to buying. And a lot of people don't know that, like I said earlier, that with as little as 10% down on an SBA loan, they can actually buy a building whereby they might not have known that before. So we can lead them in directions that they might not have thought about before, or that would help benefit them financially in the future.
Right.
And with interest rates being as good as they are, to add to what Brent's saying, sometimes their mortgage might be less than what they would pay in rent.
Absolutely.
Right.
You guys are crazy.
All right. Thank you guys both for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks so much. We want to remind you that we're here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on Call Toni Real Estate Radio. That's KTLK AM 1150, where we're bringing you tools for positive change. If you tuned in late and you'd like to go back and listen to the full show, you can go to calltoni.com. And remember, you can punch on the previous show's link. You can call us off air at 888-309-9797. 888-309-9797. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a magical weekend.